In type 1 diabetes, the body produces little, if any, insulin. Insulin is needed to allow glucose to enter the cells to produce energy. Therefore, type 1 diabetics do not produce any energy. People with type 1 diabetes tend to have high blood glucose levels. Symptoms for type 1 diabetes usually occur in children and young adults. Only 5% of people with diabetes have type 1 diabetes. People often get diagnosed with diabetes based off of family history, age, and genetics. It is not actually known why type 1 diabetes is caused, although the body's immune system mistakenly destroys the cells that produce insulin in type 1 diabetes.
When diagnosed with diabetes, the way a person eats will most likely need to be altered. Nutrition is one of the most important and crucial things for diabetics because they need to monitor their blood glucose levels. If you are a diabetic, it is important to eat breakfast because it can help your blood sugar rise and keep you on track for the day. The superfoods for diabetes are vegetables, fruits, nuts, whole grains, and proteins. One should eat fruit because it has natural sugars that provide the body with energy. One should eat vegetables because they contain starch for energy, although it is important to make sure you only eat vegetables with low carbohydrate levels. The best vegetables for a diabetic to eat are green leafy vegetables, asparagus, beets, carrots, celery, cucumbers, onions, peppers, sprouts, and tomatoes. It is important for a diabetic to eat whole grains because your body will convert the whole grains into sugars. Proteins are important to eat because they help maintain muscle strength and repair wounds.
It is extremely important for a diabetic to check their blood glucose and insulin levels because it can help prevent any short-term or long-term body diseases, and it can show a person whether or not they need to alter the way they are living. If a person's levels are too low or too high, they may need to exercise more or change their diet. The most common way for one to manage their glucose levels is by pricking their fingertip with an automatic device that produces a blood sample.
When diagnosed with diabetes, the amount and way a person exercises may need to be changed. Exercising is important for all people, but it's especially important for diabetics because it helps them to control their diabetes and it can help prevent long-term complications. Exercise controls blood glucose levels and it increases a person's insulin sensitivity. A diabetic should exercise by doing aerobic exercises, strength training exercises, and flexibility exercises. Exercises should be done for at least 40 minutes 3 times a week.
When diagnosed with diabetes, the way a person lives life will most likely need to be altered. The day-to-day life of a diabetic involves insulin injections to make up for their bodies not producing any insulin. Insulin is either injected through a syringe pen injector or through an insulin pump. Insulin is injected before a meal to help avoid a rise in blood sugar after a meal. Every time a diabetic consumes food, they should also count the amount of calories they are eating so that their insulin and blood glucose levels won't be harmed. A type 1 diabetic should make a commitment to managing their diabetes, meaning eat healthy, exercise properly, take any medication needed, and manage a proper weight. Identify yourself, wear a tag bracelet so people can see you are a diabetic in case of emergency. Schedule a yearly physical exam and regular eye exams to make sure you don't have any diabetes-related problems. Keep your immunization up. Get flu shots yearly because having high blood glucose levels can lead to a weakened immune system. Take stress seriously because a diabetic's hormones may not respond properly to stress. If of age, drink responsibly because alcohol can lead to either higher or lower blood glucose levels. Don't smoke or do any sort of drug because it could lead to major diabetic complications or other complications that will be worse because of your diabetes.
Every diabetic will have to see many doctors throughout their whole life. Some of the doctors they will need to visit are a nutritionist, endocrinologist, and a psychologist. Diabetics should not feel alone. There are many different types of doctors to help a diabetic adjust to their new life.
Nutritionists help diabetics adjust or stay adjusted to their new diet with diabetes. A nutritionist will help a patient set up a meal plan fitted to their own needs and provide the patient with sample foods to see how they work in the person's routine. A nutritionist will help a patient learn to count the amount of carbohydrates they consume.
An endocrinologist should be seen regularly because they help a patient by helping them to monitor their blood glucose levels. Endocrinology is the study of the endocrine organs and how they may cause a hormone imbalance. Because diabetes affects hormones in the body, it is important for a diabetic to see an endocrinologist.
A psychologist is a doctor who studies the mental health and state of a person. A diabetic should see a psychologist because they can help them deal with their life-changing diagnosis and help them adapt in a positive way. The psychologist will also help the diabetic by promoting good health and keeping the diabetic healthy and on track.
Getting diagnosed with type 1 diabetes can be a scary thing. Although if you listen to your doctors and use resources like this video for help, managing your diabetes will not feel as impossible as if you were managing it alone.
Hi, my name is Jordan Wolf, and I am here at Ober Elementary School to interview a 5th grade boy with diabetes.
Hello, I'm Jordan. What's your name?
My name's Connor.
How old are you?
I'm 10.
Cool. What type of diabetes do you have?
I have type 1 diabetes.
How long have you had diabetes for?
6 years.
How did you or your parents find out you had diabetes?
I was feeling incredibly sick and I took it to the doctor and he said I had diabetes and they were incredibly sad.
How do you treat your diabetes? Do you have to inject yourself?
I have this thing called an insulin pump and it gives me insulin and that keeps my blood sugar healthy.
So you never need to inject yourself? That does it all?
Yeah, only if my blood sugar is crazy high, then I have to inject myself, but most of the time I use this.
Cool. Very cool. What do you often eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Obviously something low carb like eggs and bacon and toast. For lunch, maybe a sandwich, grapes and cheese. And then for dinner, I have something like pasta or sandwich, like I said.
So is dinner your heaviest meal of the day?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Do you ever snack or do you ever skip meals?
I never skip a meal. I do snack a little bit, but never without injecting myself or using this.
Do you exercise? If so, how often and what do you do?
Yes, I do exercise and I do it every day. Yeah, and that also drops my blood sugar if it
What do you,
gets going high.
how do you exercise? What do you
Ride my-
exercise?
I ride my bike, ride my scooter. And yeah, I'm gonna take swimming.
That's very nice. Do you ever deal with complications because of your diabetes?
Yes, sometimes I do forget and I do get punished, and people do make fun of me sometimes, which is hard.
Imagine. Lastly, what is the hardest part about being diabetic?
Just having the responsibility of always having to wait around 5 minutes before eating and not being able to free eat.
I can imagine. Thank you for your time, Connor. You're obviously a very strong boy, and I'm very glad we had the chance to talk.
Thank you.